If you're visiting this morning, this is the end of the movie. It's over. After today, we're done with Hebrews. And to be honest with you, Hebrews is done with us. This is very, very, very challenging. The reason why it's been very challenging to preach Hebrews is because if you've been in church long enough, and if you're visiting, you're still going to relate to what I'm about to tell you. Most of us in this country and in this generation, we love the idea that a prayer will save you and will get you an opportunity to become a child of God and to eventually enter into His presence, and we call this heaven. And a prayer can do that, and we preach the gospel that it is by justification and justification alone. Putting your faith in Jesus Christ gives you that experience of salvation. We love that. And there is a man in the New Testament who wrote 13 of the 27 books of the New Testament who preaches this very emphatically, and he even devoted an entire book, which is the book of Romans, to this topic, which is salvation by faith and faith alone. Hebrews has been a challenging book to read and to preach because Hebrews has taught us so far that the experience of salvation at the beginning of the journey can only have meaning, can only be evaluated and sealed and to a certain degree approved by the way you finish the journey. So again, how you begin the journey has to be reflected not necessarily by the revival service that you went when you were 17 years old. It doesn't necessarily have to be just exclusively reflected by the prayer you prayed when you were 7 years old at Vacation Bible School. Those things are legit, and I believe they are genuine. The real challenge now is, how is it that that experience is reflected on how you end? Now, the summer, as I said, has some uniqueness. And personally, because I'm a big movie guy, and I love movies, summer is when the big movies come into place. So, Planet of the Apes, anybody? Yeah? Ninja Turtles? Anybody? Alright, you guys don't have a life. That's okay, I'll give you one today. But here's the bottom line. Movies are big on me, and I think, again, I just love movies, and most movies in every sense of the word. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. Hebrews this is the best way to represent Hebrews because of this little movie that came out a couple of years now, I don't know, months, years ago, Turbo. Because Turbo is the one movie that reminds you that even though this little snail had an experience when he fell inside the car, and something happened that transformed his life, and special powers came on him, that from a typical, regular snail, he became this Turbo, this, fast, unbelievable speed that he can eventually compete with the big dogs. That experience at the beginning that you're going to see through the movie by racing on a specific race at Indy 500, to be specific, only has meaning if you and I watch the movie and anticipate that he wins at the end. Like if he loses, it's like, come on, man, I just wasted an hour and a half of my life. Because it was entertaining, but you won for the snail to ultimately win. You gotta win at the end. So in the Christian life, it's kind of the same deal. The only thing that I hope Hebrews has done for you and I is that Hebrews, I hope, because this is the last Sunday, I hope that he has redefined what winning looks like in the Scriptures. I'm bringing this up because last Sunday, if you weren't here, I want to remind you, we went through chapter 11, which was the Hall of Faith. And we went through all these biblical characters, which the Bible describes as men and women who finished the race faithfully. Now please listen to this. The implication is that in the Bible, you're going to find a lot of people, a lot of great men and women who did not finish the race. That's the implication. As you listen to the sound of my voice this morning, some of you, if you do not get these principles straight, if you don't follow what we have said for 16 weeks, you will not finish the race. I don't care what happened inside that car, like Turbo. I don't care what your mama and grandmama told you. And I love your mama, and I'm sure your grandmama is a nice lady. But it doesn't matter what they told you. If you don't finish if you think that the race is optional have not gotten the point of life. So Hebrews 11 gave us this entire list of men and women who, again, I don't know if this disturbs you, confuse you, or just, I don't know, but again, this is how challenging Hebrews is to read. Hebrews 11 said that these men and women who finished the race faithful, they did not receive the promise. They only saw the promise at a distance. So Moses is taken up to the mountain and he sees the promised land, and God says, hold your horses. You ain't going there. You journey 40 years with this people. You raise a brand new generation. Still complainers and knuckleheads. But Joshua takes him. So the scripture teaches you that even though you remain faithful, there is no guarantee you're going to get what you've been promised in this regard. Hear me say this, please. Don't just shut me down for a second. Just hang on. One of the reasons why two reasons why these people remain faithful and finish the race, regardless of the circumstances and how things may have been perceived as a big time loser, is because the same verse explains from last week that they did not see themselves as someone who belonged to this world. They saw themselves as journeymen, pilgrims, passing by. Are you following me on this? Second reason, I want you to listen to this, because this is where we're going this morning. Why they remain faithful to the end without receiving the promise or the promises from God is because they learned that the real gift is not the promises. The real gift is the one who made the promises. And if you give me Jesus, you can have everything else. Give it. I don't care. You give me Jesus, it's a win. You give me Jesus, and regardless of what happens, it's a win. So right now, some of you would love to repeat what I just said and believe it, and you're struggling because you still want that raise in your job. You still want to see your mom get healed. I know some of you are crying for your children who's away from God, and you want him to come back to the Lord. So it's like, yes, I want Jesus, but it will be very helpful if fill in the blank. Are you following me on that? It is a legit concern. But all that I'm trying to tell you right now is that regardless of what's happening, Hebrews continues the conversation by saying on verse 1 of chapter 12, therefore, because you get Jesus, not only what Jesus provides, which by the way, commercial time. Here's the bottom line. Did you know that Jesus is a giver? Did you know that he's a giver? That he delights in blessing you. You are so driven by fear that you have forsaken how to identify his blessings. But I'm going to put it to you very simple this morning. If you are able to do this right now, that's a gift. You don't deserve it. It's a gift. It's a gift. See, you thought you deserved it. You think that you should be dreaming and getting up this morning and kissing your kids or your husband or your mama or whoever is it that you said goodbye before you came or you're sitting with. That's a gift. So we learn to embrace the giver more than the gift. And the Bible says, since we have learned to embrace the giver more than the gift, we are surrounded by such a great cloud of the hall of faith. Those men and women in chapter 11. Now, because we're surrounded by them, and they are the tangible evidence that this is what evaluates your salvation experience, how you finish the race. It's not about the wedding, it's about oneness in the process. It's not about just saying, I do. It's about yielding to the presence of God that helps you to yield to him or her versus be driven by entitlement. If this is true, listen to this. This cloud of witnesses, now let us throw off everything that hinders and everything, especially the sin that easily entangles. Now listen to this. And let us run with perseverance. Let us run the race which was marked out for us. So handouts, here we go. When we are surrounded by this cloud of witnesses, we have to begin the conversation and we're going to imitate them. That's the purpose of the cloud of witnesses. That we have to, right now, in this moment, make a decision to live for godliness and to live sacrificially for others. I'm going to say that one more time. Those who are in the race, and their goal is to finish the race. Please listen to this. This finishing of the race, this having a good ending, this experience of remaining faithful and remaining put into the deal, not deviating, has to be experienced by today, not in the future, not when you die, not when she comes home, not when he returns from what he promised he's going to come back. It's right now. You have to make a conscious decision that you have to live for godliness and you have to live for others, which in my personal opinion, this is just my 2 cents of the conversation, this is a formula to understand that there is no greater threat to your own joy than nobody. This is the moment where you realize not only that you are the greatest threat to your own joy, but this is the moment where you also realize that nobody is for your joy than the presence of the living God. He wants your joy. Can I just give you another commercial? Let's go down. Second commercial. Second commercial is this. If that's the case, and you embrace this, that no one is for your own joy than God, that He is your biggest cheerleader. He's like, I want you to experience the fullness of life. Listen to me. There is no way you can encounter that unless you learn to worship. Because worship is what allows you to actually get what He has for you. Worship is basically saying, I don't want to continue perpetuating my agenda. I want to take on His agenda. I know I deserve this because I'm educated. I know I deserve this because she knew before we got married what I wanted to do. I know I deserve this because when I was growing up, he was absent. Now that he's back, he better give me this. You can argue all this entitlement deal, and you can continue remaining, making yourself the victim. You come back and tell me how that's working for you. How's that working for us? I'm just going to tell you, speak on behalf of the ones around you. It stinks. It really does. Because it's an old song, man. It's getting old in the deal. It's like, man, you're 27 and you still don't get it? You're 47 and you're still dealing with the same crazy nonsense? See, this is what is going to liberate you. It's going to get you the freedom. That you understand that if you, now, again, if you have a desire to remain faithful right now, you're going to make a decision to live for godliness, which implies to stop whatever is going on that is not honoring God. If you are living with Him and you're not married, you don't have to pray whether He is the man or not. He's not. I just told you. I just saved you a lot of money like I do. A lot of money, a lot of time. Just stop living in sin. If you're dating Him and you're sleeping with Him, stop it. But I love Him. Who cares? Just stop thinking with your feelings. You hear this from me over and over and over again. And you still continue to come back for more. I don't know, just like punishment? I don't know. But I'm just telling you, man, you got to live for godliness and you have to live for others. And one way that you're going to test whether you are living godly or not is when you relate to others. Because some of these people around the world, they really test your godliness. It's like, mercy. Are you kidding me? Lord, I'm going to get really godly right now. Either you take him or I send him. Whatever you want to do. One of the two. It's up to you, Lord. It's a multiple choice, kind of a scantron. Seriously, guys, this is why Hebrews says, now, because the challenge of this, you gotta look up these witnesses. And now, here's what I love our path. I mean, this is just valley culture at its best. A bunch of people in this culture, if you are one of them, just hang on, do not leave this place. I'm about to offend you. Just stay put. Some of you grew up with the mentality that your grandma and your great-great-grandma and your daddy and all these people have gone to beyond the grave, have died. They are looking upon you. Stop this nonsense. It's not biblical. If I'm dead, there is no way in heaven I want to look upon this earth. It's way too broken and too messed up. See what I'm saying? Take me home, baby. Take me home. Let's go. Let's push forward. Once you give me the glory of God in His fullness, I want nothing from this world. Are you tracking? I want nothing from this world. I love this world because it belongs to Jesus, but it's way too broken, man. And here's what I know about my crazy self. I wasn't designed for this. I was not designed for this. I'm designed for the glory and the presence of the one who died for me, Jesus of Nazareth. He has made me a brand new person. Now, in this transition, we got to remain faithful. And this is why we are not, listen, We are not having a bunch of witnesses looking upon us. We are watching them. We're watching the legacy, the pilgrimage, how they endured. Which, by the way, commercial time. By the way, here's the crazy thing. If you watch Close This Witnesses, I told you this last week, you're going to be reminded that these great men and women are or were as dysfunctional as you are, as I am. A bunch of crazy people with dysfunctionality, a bunch of people who they just made mistake after mistake, and in their brokenness, God was merciful enough to restore them and continue the journey. So you read Psalm 51. It's the confrontation of the prophet Nathan towards David after going hokey-pokey with Bathsheba. And they commit adultery. And then he murders the husband. And David, because he is this pedestal that he's unreachable and untouchable, nobody can say anything. Nathan shows up and says, "You are in trouble, mister." And his heart is broken and convicted, and he writes in Psalm 51, he says, "It is in my mother's womb that I was conceived in sin." So all that I'm trying to tell you guys is when you look at these witnesses, you have to feel good about yourself, because most of us, now you may be weird and from a different planet, but most of us, we just come from a background and a past experiences that if we put it on the screen right now, you will be ashamed. I know. Right? If our thoughts were placed on that screen right now, you will be like, "Time out! Can we sing another song? Let's pick up the offering again." You know? I mean, let's just call it what it is. So this is why he says, stop thinking that they're watching over you. You're what? You gotta watch them. Here's what he says. The question now comes, what do we do with them? Now that we have learned this, what do we do? Well, thank you for asking. Let us just remove everything that hinders. Here's the implication, people. The implication is that we do have things that hinder our relationship with God. I don't want to hold on to this thought too long, but this is what I'm going to say to you. If you are sitting in this place and you believe deep in your soul that you don't have anything that is holding you back from God, it's called pride. Because you're way too prideful. In other words, this is the type of people that come before the Lord with all sincerity, with all honesty, and say, "God, will you please change me?" So if you follow me on any of the social media venues, I posted a video last night that I would invite you to go and check out. That was shared with me. But it's an African-American preacher that is talking about this whole riot deal going on up north. Everybody know what I'm talking about? And he basically says this: stop making yourself the victim. You know, the young black man abused by the white person or whatever. He goes into this literally, I mean, it's just crazy. I'm like, dude, I think you're just going to be your kids and your wife at church. He's a preacher at church on Sunday. I don't think they're coming by to see you. But the point that he's trying to make is this: if we want to see change, we got to change. So it's kind of the same deal in here, where you understand that this whole scenario begins with the purpose, with the intentionality that we have to come into the picture. Now, I don't have time to illustrate this, and I'm not going to do it personally, but here's what I want you to know. There used to be a time in the past that I had not only hair, it was black, and watch this, I was so full of the presence of God, the joy of the Lord, that my waist was 36. I was just literally just filled with the presence of God. And you know, I was like this Greek diet or whatever. I'm size 30. And I'm just here to tell you, man, it never happened by accident. I'll give you a little bit of my story by telling you that I'm not like this great athlete that just, no, listen. You know why I lose weight? Can I just tell you the truth, the real? I mean, I love to put myself into, this model. No. Listen. I ended up in the hospital for almost a week. An ICU battling high blood pressure. And I either changed my lifestyle, or I may not get to preach the word anymore. I didn't get to walk my daughters through the aisle one day. Have you followed me on this? So it was just like a reality check. I said, whoa, wake up to reality. So part of that has to do with me losing weight. Here's what I'm trying to tell you, man. Because when you look at someone like Henry Perkins, that plays for Oklahoma Thunder, this guy 2 years ago lost 32 pounds. I'm here to tell you, I don't know the guy, and I don't know the details, but all that I'm telling you